First start with national news. Since the young man suspected to be the leader of the Phantom Thieves died while in custody, the police have officially announced that these crimes have come to an end and assure everyone that the peace will be restored
Yo, what is up, everybody?
We are the ones who you all know as the Phantom Thieves.
And all of us are alive and kicking. But those shitty guys in power, they've been manipulating information to try and hide the truth.
What is this? Where's it coming from?
I don't know. We can't switch it out. Seems we aren't the only ones affected either.
So, before we appropriate our next target, we would like to first borrow your time.
One man is behind every single instance, simply to satiate his own greed.
Is this for real?
That man was afraid his crimes would be exposed and shifted the blame on us. He even manipulated the police for that.
We only steal the hearts of criminals. This asshole tried to dunk what he did on us. That just shows he doesn't care about those
Are they
victims
stupid?
at all.
Shut everything down!
The identity of that cowardly man is...
What the hell? Who's getting good?
Ooh, the police reacted much faster than I thought. Too bad. I
The man behind it all is a current cabinet member of all things. The Minister of State for Special Missions, Messiah Shishida.
Everything that guy says is a lie. And to prove that, look, as you can see, all of us are alive and kicking. I'm sure the people investigating us can tell if this is a lie or not. Shido himself will soon confess all the crimes.
You think it's some kind of prank?
Look forward to it, everyone.
No way. Could this be real? Don't block the road, people!
What's going on?
We're not gonna sit back and watch some crook wreck this country just because of his goddamn ego. Ain't that right, leader?
Hey, we can see his face!
Yes. Before that happens, we will take this country.
Hello? Yes. We're looking into it now. Please, if you would so kindly...
Very well. I'll crush them beneath my heel.
Oh boy. Well, you know what that means. The calling card is sent. We're stealing somebody's treasure and their heart. But we have to start somewhere first. We got 10 different stages to begin with to get through before we reach our goal. Regardless, this is the road to redemption here in Rain City. So, without further ado, we have our first step today as we go up against Sketchy Smeargle and the Seattle Smeargles. Another Battle of Seattle. I don't know how many it's been. I wanted one with Jodor. Never got it, but hopefully, with the help of the calling card, I might eventually get there. Keep in mind, that was entirely satirical, the beginning part, so don't put any cases into it. Like, it literally means absolutely nothing toward my opinions toward anything. I do want to add a disclaimer to that one. Regardless, the last couple of times we faced Sketchy Smeargle, it's gone, both ways. I'm currently 1-2 against him. So, let's hope my recent streak of wins in week 1 help out here. So, let's hope so. And I'm hoping that hope comes to fruition. Regardless, while we're waiting for Sketch, because he's probably doing his intro here, at least at the time he was. That's what I'm guessing. So let me take you down a trip down memory lane really quickly, because there were 3 other battles. I think I did already mention that, but the first 2 didn't come out to how I hoped. And that was because they both occurred on the same 2 seasons, the 0-10 season that was riddled with hacks. Perfect example is I kept roaring out as Jolteon against my Suicune, and I kept having to switch in other things that took damage, and it wasn't fun. It didn't work well. He then stalled me out in the very next game that I played that season, and in the following season of the PGL, I ended up dominating him with my Mega Aggron. That's his Achilles heel, apparently, so if you ever face Sketchy in a league, go ahead and pick up Mega Aggron. There you go. So, he is now ready, and we can discuss the teams, because there's a lot of certain matchups that I need to be wary of and to explain. So, what Sketchy is going to be bringing is an Arcanine, Milotic, both Alolan Ninetales and Alolan Sandslash. That pairing is sort of deadly if you don't really play it right. And Jolteon, as well as Scizor. And the team that we're bringing, I'm not sure if you've seen our all 11 Pokemon that we have, but these are the 6 that we're bringing today. Mega Manectric, excuse me, Pelipper, Mamoswine, Skarmory, Noivern, and Sableye. Now, looking at this, I knew I could not bring full Rain because I know he has that Weather Setter in Alolan Ninetales, so being reliant on Rain in this type of battle was not the best idea. The moment I tried to set up Rain, it would just wash away. It would actually just freeze and they would all turn to hail, and then I wouldn't be able to do anything because I'd just be being pelted with hail. And things like Noivern, that wouldn't be any good because Hurricane would just miss 50% of the time, at least that's what I think. So I couldn't be as reliant, so I decided to run it as it was like an option to offset his hail, and then I could maybe do something, keep something in my back pocket just in case, but more or less just not be as reliant, but definitely bring it. So we're at the point where we are going to be looking at our team really quickly. And we're going to start off with, as always, we're going to go left, right, and then to the second one, and then to the third one. Starting off with, guess what? We're bringing back the Shin Megami Tensei nicknames yet again. I mean, we have Persona music in the background, so I can't really not do it. Plus, we had that intro at the start, because call that the hype video. I don't freaking know. Regardless, we have Izanagi, our Mega Manectric, and this one's kind of like bread and butter, but I do have something up my sleeve on this thing, on this Mega Manectric. It has enough speed to outspeed his Jolteon over there, barring Quick Feet or Scarf, of course, but it definitely has the same moves that you would expect. It does not have Thunder because I don't want to be reliant on the rain, so I went with Thunderbolt. It has Flamethrower because I don't need the rain up at all times, so fire won't be weakened 24/7. But here's the thing up my sleeve. It is Hidden Power Ground because pretty much the only thing that he can switch into from a Hidden Power, from a Mega Manectric and a Stab Electric move is Como-O and Jolteon. Como-O is more or less a better option to take an electric hit, but at the same time, I do have Mimikyu in my team of 11. I didn't bring it, but I didn't think he would bring Como-O just because Mimikyu is such a counter to that thing. As well as, so the idea was that he switches in his Jolteon, thinking he can get a Snide Volt Absorb, and then I just hit him with a Hidden Power Ground and then just blow him back. So that is our Jolteon here. That's our Jolteon. No, Mega Manectric. Sorry. Next we have Elio, the Pelipper, who, and she's pretty interesting, you know. She has a physically defensive bird there, well, pelican, but regardless, it has Scald and Hurricane. She has Scald and Hurricane to just, you know, because the rain's up every time she's going to come in, unless she is in for an elongated period of time, because I'm not holding the Damp Rock, I'm holding Leftovers, because, again, not as reliant on rain here. I don't know, I don't really want to say that multiple times, but we got Defog and Roost as well to keep things in check, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Then we get to our next point, our next Pokemon. Yes, Vitala is back! Vitala is one of 2 Pokemon that we kept from our MPA Season 3 team, and Vitala is running a little bit of a different set than he normally does. He normally is rocking like a hyper offensive set, but this one's a little bit more bulky and defensive because I kind of have I wouldn't say I have a problem with electric Pokemon. I do have quite a bit of weaknesses on my team, but I also have a lot of immunity and a lot of resistances, so I can keep those in play. But regardless, I'm sticking with our Assault Vest on Vitala this week, our Mamoswine. And it has, actually, I put in enough speed to outspeed max speed Alolan Sandslash outside of the hail. So, that means outside of the hail, I will be able to outspeed it. But, I can actually run Adamant with that specific spread. I also have EQ, Earthquake, and Icicle Crash, as well as Iron Head. I didn't know how much that was going to come into play, but if I was up against the Alolan Ninetales, then that would just be an easy clean wipe right there, because Alolan Ninetales is not going to stand up to a mammoth just slamming his head right into it. It's not good. That Alolan Ninetales would not appreciate that at all. But I also have Ice Shard as well. And we're going to move on to Skarmory, which is Jatayu. And this one is a specially defensive variant, and the idea here, I actually can't remember. Maybe it was to switch into the Alolan Ninetales. That seems about right, because of course we resist, well, we don't resist the Ice-type move, but we resist the Fairy-type stab. But, I mean, Ice wouldn't be that bad against Skarmory either. But we were rocking Rocks and Roost, Stealth Rock, excuse me, as well as Drill Peck, and then this would be this one's funny because we're rocking Whirlwind, and if you didn't catch what I said earlier, I kept roaring his Jolteon into my Suicune because my Suicune knew Roar, and Suicune was weak to Electric. I'm really hoping that does not come into play here again, because if I Whirlwind his Jolteon in against Skarmory, I'm gonna have a bad time. We're gonna move on to Wyvern, our Noivern, as this one's rocking a Scarf. Actually, Noivern is one of our 2 Z-move captains, so I could have ran a Z-move on this Noivern, but I decided against it because I just wanted the speed, okay? Because if I can get the rain up, this is the thing I'm talking about in my back pocket, by the way. Because if I can get the rain up, and he only has he has 2 resistances to flying over there, Jolteon and Alolan Sandslash, but if I can get him in at the certain point, I think he can just clean things up with 100% accurate Hurricanes in the rain. But it has enough speed to outspeed the Jolteon. It has Draco Meteor. It has Flamethrower, just in case if he is against one of the 2 Alolan Sandslash or Alolan Ninetales. So, and even Scizor if necessary, if I'm in that position, definitely Scizor. And the last Pokemon we have is Black Frost, as this guy is rocking physically defensive, as well as toxic and mean look. Because if I'm ever in a situation against a defensive Pokemon, such as my Milotic, I can just sit there and stall it out, aka Cooper Kushiro style. Haha! But we're rocking off with Recover, and we're knocking off too with a Knockoff. So that is actually the team, and I believe at this point we are just trying to figure out like what order we're doing, or no, at this time I was waiting for a certain number to pass by. As you can see, I'm standing by. I actually was sitting down, but it says stand. Jokes aside, we're still waiting on Sketchy. And leads, though, I did lead off with Noivern, I believe, so I could, get a little bluff right there. I don't know what he's going to be leading off. Maybe he's a Rocker, but the only Rocker right there is Alolan Sandslash. So we're going to get this battle started in just a second as we see our leads. If Ultra Sun and Moon could move faster, it would help. You're probably wondering why I was a female character. Well, I mean, it's a different dimension from Sun and Moon, so why not? As you can see, I'm kind of running the same clothing that my other trainer in Sun had. So he leads off with Scizor, though, against my Noivern, and that's a bit of a pickle. So we got this lead here, and I'm honestly thinking, do I want to go for the Flamethrower right here? I mean, Noivern naturally outspeeds this Scizor. So I'm thinking, maybe I go for the Flamethrower this turn. But, I mean, it's turn 1. Sketchy's not going to let his Scizor go down this early. That would be the most absurd thing I would have ever seen actually happen in the last 6 months. Because, I mean, I haven't really battled much in the last 6 months. So he does the obvious switch and goes out into his Milotic. So I decide, let's actually U-turn. Because U-turn, that's just a lot better. Because, sexy initiative. Oh yeah, that just makes everything just work out, and we can go into our Beast Ball Pokemon, our Izanagi Mega Manectric, because that U-turn core is disgusting with a capital D. Because if you ever get into that situation, you're definitely going to be running for your life, because you have Mega Manectric and Noivern just chasing after you over and over, and it's a cycle that never wants to end. But I digress. Let's continue on with this turn, as we have Milotic and this one. Now I'm thinking. I was in my mock battle here. I think I ended up going with Hidden Power Ground, because it's like that's your only resistance. Why would you leave your physical wall. Why would you leave this wall in? Why? It doesn't make any sense. So I went with hidden power ground, and that was a stupid idea. Well, in hindsight, it was an okay idea because I didn't think he'd actually stay in. He stayed in, which I'll have to give you credit for that. You must have balls the size of a wrecking ball, regardless. If you're gonna leave your Milotic. Actually, when he stayed in, I thought he might be running Scarf Competitive, which I've seen SceptileMC run that. It's absolutely crazy that he actually thought of that, but luckily I dodged a bullet. He's not actually running that, and in this instance, I'm thinking, you know what? I got a free volt switch. It'll hit this Milotic pretty hard. I mean, why wouldn't you go into Jolteon there? Maybe he thought, what hidden power is this? Who knows? I don't know. But I go for the volt switch, and now I'm back to business. I bring in Jatayu, because this is my special wall. If he wants to throw out anything, I mean, a Scald, I can take that as long as I don't get the burn. Cross your fingers. It's not a burn. I'll definitely take that. Even though it was a critical hit, it's not a burn. I can always recover that up. What I can't do is get rid of the burn. Not in this team. Not with this team at all. So looking here, I can actually go for the rocks here. I could go for Roost, actually, and I could also go for rocks. But what is better? Roost is a passive play. Roost will give him a potential upper hand. Rocks allows me a turn if he wants to defog. But in the end, he actually goes out into Arcanine, code Seabad, which I don't get the nickname, but I guess. But I go for the Stealth Rock, which allows me a turn later on in the game if it comes to that. So what I do here, obviously, I pick up the leftovers here, and now obviously I'm not going to be staying in. But me thinking, I'm thinking here, the obvious switch here is Pelipper. It's my only water type Pokemon on this team, but the problem is, I know that Arcanine across the field. I know that thing can get freaking Wild Charge. Do I take the risk, think that he goes for the Flare Blitz, or do I go into something else to take one of the two other moves? Looking at it, I mean, both Super Effect Skarmory here, so he doesn't have a reason not to go for Wild Charge. So I can't actually, I could not put myself in a situation where I had to go into Pelipper. Like, I could not put myself in, I just couldn't, really. So I end up switching out into Black Frost, my Sableye. It's physically defensive, and I'm hoping that it can take one of these hits. And it actually takes that pretty well here. And with a little bit of leftovers, I can, you know, get that back real quick. Get that just tasty HP. It's 104. We're back over in triple digits. That's what I like to see, is healthy Pokemon. Not in the yellow, not in the red. No, that's just not a good time, because then I'm just troubled, like, panic, anxiety. But here, another choice. Toxic. Mean Look. Well, I wouldn't Mean Look this thing, but the only reason I would use Mean Look here is just to trap whatever he's going to bring in. And I could even go for the Toxic, or the Recover to get that back up. And that's exactly what I do, because regardless of what he did, I'd be back at full. Even if he went for Flare Blitz there, it would only put me a little bit under half, or at half. The damage roll was around that area. So he brings out the Milotic here again, and I'm thinking, this is what this thing is for. It's supposed to break down the walls ever so slowly. Just ever so slowly, and that's what it does. I drop the Toxic, and now that's step 1. Step 2 is to Mean Look this thing. Step 3 is to buy some lakefront property. Step 4 is to sell it for profit. But hold on a second. We need to slow down, go back to stage 2, go for this Mean Look. We took that Scald pretty well, still didn't get the burn, so we're still going on that, I wouldn't say lucky train, but we're definitely not unlucky. And he's actually going to go out and back into his Scizor again, as I went for the Mean Look, which kind of throws a wrench right into my lakefront property. I paid good money for that lakefront property, Scizor. Thanks for that, because that Mean Look does absolutely nothing. I would have liked, I loved that lakefront property, but no, you threw a wrench through the window, and I got no insurance on it. Thanks. But here in this situation, as we actually pay attention to the battle instead of rambling on about lakefront property, we have, oh jeez, we have Sableye against Scizor here. And now looking at this, I could just see what he wants to do and go for the Recover. I don't know if he has U-turn at this point. I don't think so, because it looked like he was running a defensive variant with this Scizor. Because he does have the leftovers. If you didn't notice it at the very beginning, the Frisk activated the leftovers. So what I'm actually going to do here is go out into Pelipper to actually do something. But nope, he reveals the U-turn, which, safe to say, that does make sense on a defensive Pokemon, because you want a slow. Well, let me put it this way: a slow Volt Switch, a slow U-turn, a slow Baton Pass. Those are always useful on those type of Pokemon. So he actually U-turns out into his Alolan Ninetales, negating my rain, but honestly, I didn't go out into Pelipper to set up the rain, so it matters to me, like, in no way. In no way does that matter to me at all. All I wanted was just to take the hit from whatever that Scizor wanted to throw at me. And now in this situation, what I'm looking at is, how do I avoid a potential Aurora Veil into Alolan Sandslash sweep? How can I make sure of that can't happen? Because I'm thinking right now, does he go for Aurora Veil? I know I'm slower than this thing. I could go for Defog and defog my rocks away, but do I go for it? And I don't actually pull that off. Instead, what I actually do is make the safer play and go out into Skarmory just in case if a Fairy type move came out. But in the end, I don't think he was. And actually, what I was looking at that point while the move time was dropping was, does Alolan Ninetales get anything of an electric move? The only electric type attack he gets is Hidden Power Electric, obviously. But here he goes out into the Alolan Sandslash, and this is kind of a little bit early for that kind of sweep. If I want to be honest, you would have to get rid of the Pelipper first. Otherwise, I can just bring in Pelipper, and then all of a sudden you won't be able to outspeed anything. Well, outspeed a few things, but the Slush Rush just goes back to being just washed out. Like, it just melts. Just like the snow outside. Yeah, it snowed 6 inches yesterday. And that's only the 3rd time I've ever seen it snow that much. Regardless, he hits us with an Icicle Crash that does way more than I expected. And it reveals the Life Orb, but I do manage to live and hit it with a Scald. The Aurora Veil actually powers it down, but we do connect with that clutch burn. Is it unfortunate for him? Yes. But after Season 3 of the PGL, I ain't complaining. I've been down that road far too many times. It's not fun, especially because it gets brought up. Haha, you went 0-10. But again, I'm not going to go on to that topic any further, because the more I do it, the more people actually say, oh, he's complaining about PGL Season 3 again. But in this situation, let's actually get back to the battle. I need to stop doing that. But Pelipper, and you're too slow. The Alolan Sandslash over there. You see, in this situation, I'm thinking, I could actually go for the Roost here. But I'm wondering, could actually that I be taken out by that? Survey says no, but I'd rather not take that chance. Plus, if I can get my other walls healed up against Alolan Sandslash here, then that will make a world better. I'm obviously going to get hit pretty hard by that, because, I mean, it's an Alolan Sandslash. This thing hits like a truck in some instances, even when it was burned. Like that's freaking crazy that it managed to do that much damage. But I'm hitting it with a Recover right now. And he takes his time actually to go for the Stealth Rocks, which means one of us has to defog. Which one of us? I don't know. But one of us is getting a free turn. The question is, who's going to bluff a defog? Pretty much, like, really, who's going to bluff that defog and just try to get an upper hand here? This thing could have Rapid Spin. It's his only spinner on out of the set 6 that he has. Had to make sure I said that right, otherwise I'd screw something up. But so again, now I'm thinking, what do I do here now? The problem is I can't actually switch in my Pelipper again, because I would take an Icicle Crash, and then I take another Icicle Crash because I'm not fast enough, because I know that thing is max speed. So it's not really going to work. So I thought, you know what, let's just go for the knockoff. If he stays in, I can knock off the Life Orb, and then maybe I can switch out. Well, even then, he set up the rocks, and luckily I did check, and I'm just in range that I think I would live it with about 15 HP, but the problem is, with that range, I can't actually bring Pelipper in on anything. It would have to come after a Pokemon, after one of my Pokemon goes down. Otherwise, it's not going to actually work. And here, I would say I sort of misclicked, but at the same time, it was I had a reason. For one, I guess I've been out of battling too much that I just straight up forgot that I didn't want to say I forgot I had Prankster, but I kind of jumped the gun there thinking that U-turn would go first for some reason, and then I would toxic whatever came in. And again, it just slipped my mind that Prankster goes first. That was an accident. But he hits me with a knockoff. My leftovers just fall off, and thanks. Now I need a mop for that. But, and then he U-turns out into the Arcanine here. And looking at this, I'm like, okay, so I'm sitting around maybe 65%, 70% HP. Maybe, looking at this, looking at my calc, I can live this. Let's just get this Toxic off and then spam Recup. Hello, Choice Band. My name is Gearhart. You just bludgeoned me over with a fiery club. Like, who set the club on fire? Everybody's dancing around because the club is on fire. Everybody's sweating. Stop sweating on me. This is disgusting. Let's move on to the battle, as now I'm thinking, who can I actually switch into here? I'm down 6-5, and at the same time, it's not the end of the world, because one of his Pokemon is burned. 2 of them are poisoned. 3 of them are low, actually. Jolteon, Scizor, and Alolan Ninetales are actually at relatively okay health, but Arcanine, Milotic, and Alolan Sandslash are crippled beyond belief. And the crutch that I said I needed with the rain is actually on. I decided to help them out, and well, why would I want to help out the opponent? I'm here to win. I don't know what I'm saying. Regardless, I'm actually deciding to go back out into my Mega Manectric here, because I'm thinking, hey, he definitely used the Flare Blitz there to kill him off. And you know what? I could actually go for something here. I could actually go for Volt Switch. I could, but then he runs the risk of going into Jolteon, but I outspeed it. But even if Hidden Power Ground wouldn't actually take out the Jolteon if he switched in on my Volt Switch, so I have to be careful because I'm below 50 HP and 50% HP, and I don't need him Shadow Balling me. I know I outspeed him, but it's not a risk I'm willing to take. So in the end, I mean, regardless, I was calcing it, and I realized that Hidden Power Ground would take out the Arcanine regardless. So even if he went onto the Jolteon there, it would have been the best case scenario. In the end, I mean, I do take out the Sandslash, so that's actually a good case scenario, but he did sack it off there, so that's just one less thing he has an option for. And he can maybe work a little bit. Actually, I don't know. I actually don't really know what the best case scenario is in those types of cases, but he's going to set up the snow warning again here, and maybe he's thinking because I had the rain, I did not have Flamethrower, but again, I'm not trying to rely on the rain too much this game. That's why I do have Flamethrower. And this Alolan Ninetales is going to need a fire extinguisher because it's about to get hit with a Flamethrower. Apologies if Ice Fox is watching. I know this is your favorite Pokemon, and I like it too, a lot. But unfortunately, it's in my way of a win. So, apologies, but I had to do it. I had to do it to him. So, with that, the hail actually clips me down to about 61 HP, and now it gets a little bit dicey. Gets a little bit icy, as you could say, because it's fallen from the sky. But in any way, shape, or form, that pun would have gotten me bludgeoned in the face with a fist. But this is the internet, so people are going to clamor in the comments that I should stop talking in puns. But I don't have his team up right here, but he has 4 Pokemon left. He has the Milotic, he has the Jolteon, he has... What else did he have? I can't remember. My memory is fading. Do I even have... No, I don't have paint up. I closed that because print screen is being a bucket. A pail. That's the best word I can come up with. Regardless, he actually brings up the Jolteon here. And again, I could go for Hidden Power Ground, but I know it's not going to take it out. Because, and I want to keep that Intimidate up into play. And he goes for the Hidden Power. Now, I don't know what Hidden Power that is. It could be Ice. But at the same time, it could also be hidden power ground as well. I don't know what hidden power it is, but I'm going to assume it's either ice or ground. Regardless, it doesn't really matter to me because Vitala was able to take that along with the rocks. It was actually a pretty good switching right there because even though he got clipped by the rocks a bit, I can actually do something. And he even forces a switch right into a Nintendo Switch. Well, that's actually Scizor. And this Earthquake, I'm thinking, I know this thing must be physically defensive. Oh, it's physically defensive, and now I have to switch up because of Bullet Punch. But the hail, his own hail, bites him really hard at the very end there. If that hail wasn't up, let me put it this way. Let me explain the situation. If that hail was not up, he would have been able to threaten me out with a Bullet Punch. It might not have taken me out, but I definitely need a switch in for the Jolteon still. And I don't really want to... how do I put it? I don't really want to sack something off because then that's less of an option to deal with. Less than an option to like switch into. So I'm trying to keep my Mamoswine's HP as high as possible so I can switch into the Stealth Rock and into an incoming attack from Jolteon. I have to keep that in mind. Now it's 5-3 here. He brought in his Choice Banded Arcanine, and now I'm thinking, you know what? I know he has the Jolteon still, but I might be able to hit him up with a Hurricane Spree right there. So let me set up the rain really quickly for Noivern. I do live with 16 HP on the Pelipper, but this Extreme Speed is actually going to take out the Pelipper, so it's going to drop it to 3-4. Regardless, that Toxic, not enough. And maybe even if I left the Hail up, it would have actually taken him out. But it's kind of up in the air. We're back in here, and this is actually where it's 100% confirmed as it's a Choice Band because the frisks the Choice Band. But right now, we have a free Hurricane as long as we don't get crit by this Extreme Speed. But if you already knew, Generation 7 actually dropped that chance from Generation 6, and it's a lower chance. So we avoid the crit, we get the knockout on the Hurricane, and now I can expect Jolteon to come in here because Jolteon, well, I mean, would Hurricane actually take it out? I don't know. But he doesn't actually do that. He actually brings out the Milotic, which I don't agree with that play either. I'm not sure why. Maybe he was giving up at that point, but you're basically bringing in your Milotic just to wave a white flag going, hey, I am fodder for your stats for your Noivern. I'm not like trashing him, but I don't get that play in my opinion. I just don't get it. Regardless, from here, I don't think I can actually do anything. I don't think the Hurricane will actually take out the Jolteon. So I'm actually going to make the safer play here. I tried to hint at it before, and I'm going to do it again, as I'm going to bring in Vitala, our Mamoswine, again, to take a Volt Switch, and look at that. Just eat up that Volt Switch. He's just like, hey, come back here, and look at this power. Look at this. Look at how well he ate that up. If I had taken a Bullet Punch, I would have not have lived that, and then I would have been in a world of hurt. But regardless, Jolteon goes down, and we pick up a 4-0 win. All right. And with that, we're actually starting our road to redemption here in Rain City off pretty well. We're starting off 1-0. That's great, and that keeps our streak of wins in Week 1 alive. See, for the longest time, I actually kept losing in Week 1 because I didn't know what to expect, but more recently, I've just been on a spree here. This is actually my third straight, and now in Week 1, I am 4-3 plus 6. I do keep these stats in my Excel sheet, actually, for every single season, so it gets pretty interesting. Do you know how many times I've faced Mega Gardevoir? So many times, it's so unnecessary. Regardless, we're going to move on to our Pokemon of the game, and if you don't already know or missed it in the MPA, we go offense, defense, support, and then we pick out of those three which one is the MVP. No rhyme intended. So, moving on, we're going to begin with the offensive MVP, as that's going to go to Mega Manectric, picking up with 2-0 plus 2. Of course, I could have gone with Noivern, but I felt like Mega Manectric actually did more. I felt like the Hurricane onto the Milotic, I felt like that was... How do I put it? I felt like that was just throwing away the Milotic. So I didn't feel like that was really any aspect of Noivern that actually helped there. So that's why I'm leaning more towards Mega Manectric. It allowed, like, the Intimidate actually helped out a few times, some clutch offensive plays. So Mega Manectric fits there. Mega Manectric. I'm going to keep botching that for so many times if I just stumble over it or say it too quickly. So let's move on to our defensive Pokemon of the game, and that's going to go to Pelipper, actually. Even though Pelipper went down, Pelipper was actually able to hang on a few times, get rid of the hail, and actually prevented the train rolling away, well, running through us, excuse me, with the Alolan Sandslash, because she got rid of the hail, negating the Slush Rush from activating, and then she burned the Alolan Sandslash, just completely neutering the Alolan Sandslash there, just making it pretty much virtually useless in the battle. That's why you ended up having to sack it off. So with that, I appreciate you, and that you are the defensive player of the Pokemon of the game, excuse me. And then, as for supportive Pokemon of the game, that's going to go to Sableye, who also didn't really notch a KO, but it did pick up, well, it did also faint as well, but it did pick up the support Pokemon of the game, because it did help out a little bit. It helped out stalling out a few things, toxicking things, kind of like putting a crutch on him. It's kind of like the setup mon, if you know what I mean. It cripples the Pokemon, and then the offensive Pokemon just comes in and just takes them out. It's like, how do I put it? It's like in skeet shooting where you just like, you go, pull, and then they throw the I don't know if that's called like a skeet disc or something. I'm unsure, really. And then they just bang. They just shoot the thing, and then it just works as a team, great coercion. And then, out of the three, who is the MVP? We have Mega Manectric, Pelipper, and Sableye. And between the three, I felt like Mega Manectric, Izanagi, was able to do enough to become the MVP there. There was a lot of tough decisions. The second turn, Hidden Power Ground on the Melodic didn't really make much sense, but staying in on a Mega Manectric didn't make much sense either. So we confused each other. But with the clutch KOs, the force switches, and offensive pressure, Mega Manectric is the MVP. And what's next for Rain City on their road to redemption? Well, we have Week 2, the second step into taking back what was lost. But we have Equa and the Worcester Walreins next week. They did lose their Week 1 game as they sit at 0-1, -2, but this is not a this is not a divisional game. So it means a little bit less, but it's still a conference game, so it still means quite a bit. Regardless, I've actually never faced Equa before. He was in PGL Season 4, the last PGL season I was in. But he was one of the few teams that I did not face, so I'm not really familiar with his battling style. I think I actually faced him once, though. Was it Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. But that was over 2 years ago, so I have no recollection of that. Still, it should be an interesting game. Problem is, we've got a weather war again. It's Gigalith. This dude has Gigalith. He can set the sand up. Escaping the hill, and now I'm in the sand. Should be a fun ride, but if you did enjoy this return to Draft League format, something I did say I'd retire from, but I have a new determination to kind of make it up to a certain somebody. Let me know, and let's try to get this video, or hit the like button as high as you can, and subscribe if you want to start the climb today. With that, though, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you back at the top later on in Week 2 of the PGL, because that's how we do up.